Hey everyone, today is our first day of 7-day landscape practice challenge to get back to intentional creative practice. Today we are going to paint landscape using just one color. Yes, you have heard it right, just one color to paint the whole landscape. So here is my 4 mini practice landscape I have created using just one color. Monochrome landscape is a great way to learn about values without having pressure of figuring out the whole color palette for the painting. And I will show you the whole process step by step, explaining everything you need to continue this practice. And this is the supply list you will need for practice. Choosing color for monochrome painting is very important, as you will only have one color to play with to convey light, shadow, mood, etc. My preferred colors are indigo, Payne's gray, sepia, and ultramarine blue. You can choose any color that you like that can give you wide range of values. Now before starting to paint, I am doing value swatches for indigo. So first damp and clean your brush on paper towel and pick up very thick paint and apply it on the paper, creating a swatch. This will be the darkest value of the color. Now in next swatches, add little bit more water to the paint every time you create the swatch until it's the lightest value. So this will be my darkest value and this is the lightest one. So now I have 5 value swatches for indigo. You can create this value swatches for the color you have selected and you can practice with other colors as well. So I have created swatches with different colors, and whatever color you choose, make sure you can get at least 3 to 5 value swatches in between the darkest and the lightest value to create nice contrast in your painting. Now I am using this painter's tape to divide my paper into 4 parts. You will need this tape if you are not using the block to tape down your paper to the book. Now I am lightly marking the horizon line, leaving 2/3 part from the top of the paper. There will be a lot of tree lines just above the horizon line, and I am also sketching down a little barn in the field. So for most part of the painting we are going to use wet in wet technique. So I am wetting the top part of the paper just above the horizon line. Apply water uniformly and there should be no puddle. To paint the sky I am going to use the lightest value of indigo. Now pick up some paint with your paintbrush and add a lot of water until you get the desired value of the color. You can also check out the value that you have created on the scrap paper before you start painting. Now start painting the sky using the lightest value of the color, and we are using wet in wet technique, so just create a flat wash till the horizon line. So now my sky is still wet. It should be just wet, not too wet before we start to paint the background trees. So I'm picking up the paint again. So this time it will be a little bit more paint in the water compared to last time, and I'm starting to paint the background trees while the sky is still wet because I want to create a very soft looking background trees. Start putting the paint in the wet background, and you don't have to create a very detailed background trace. You just have to drop in the paint and create an impression of background tree line. Keep creating tree line towards the right using the varying size of the trees and just drop in the paint in the background, and it will create just the beautiful effect. I'm just refining my horizon line here because I am very particular about those things. Now I'm picking up some more paint, some more darker paint to create a little bit foreground tree. So these are again the wet in wet background, and you can just drop in some color, but this time it will be a little bit more defined than the background trees. You don't want to overdo this step and covering all the background trees, because you may want to create nice contrast by leaving those background trees visible. Now for the last part, I am picking up the darkest value of the paint, meaning I am picking up the very thick paint with very little water in it, and I am dropping in this thick paint just above the horizon line and bottom of the tree line and in between those tree line to create the effect of shadow. Can you see how we have created a nice looking contrasted tree line using just the one color but the different values? Next, we are going to paint the snowy foreground, and for that, we are again using the lightest value of the indigo. And you may want to leave somewhat white part of the paper and use very little bit of paint from the right corner and just drag it up till the horizon line. Again, it will be wet in wet process, so just drop in little bit of lightest value of indigo on the right corner and drag it up to the horizon line. So using this detail brush, I am creating little bit of twigs and dry grass on the snowy foreground while it's still wet. So I'm using the mid values of the indigo to create a nice contrast, again the lightest value of the indigo on the foreground. So before we paint the tiny barn, we need to make sure that our background of the painting is dry, completely dry. So we can check with the back of our fingers. If it feels still cold, then you should wait for some time. So my painting is completely dry, and now I am picking up the darkest of the value with my detail brush to paint this little barn, and I am leaving the roof of the barn white because I want to create the effect of snow on the roof. Painting this tiny little barn is so relaxing. It feels like we are painting in coloring book, and I love those kind of exercise. So now at last I'm painting one foreground tree, just the branches, as we are showing this is the winter season through this painting. Keep adding random tree branches with this detail brush, and no need to feel pressure to create a certain kind of tree or certain number of tree branches. Just go with the flow. Now here is our final painting using just one color. So the purpose of this prompt and tutorial is to understand the importance of tonal values. I have so many artists telling me that painting looks dull or flat, and this might be the reason. If you are not using different values in your painting, then your color won't work in your painting. So practice creating tonal value chart and always remember values over colors. I will see you in the next session, and if you like this tutorial then subscribe to my channel. Thank you.